The one point that the paper made that really resonated with me is the fact that social belonging is, at least it inferred to me that it's a mental, it's the mental state of the person and how the person perceives their surroundings and how they perceive what other thinks of them. And in terms of bringing that to a personal level, when I immigrated here, we moved from Haiti to Massachusetts, where you're coming from a country, after 200 years of independence, where everybody looks the same. And now you're in a country where, not everybody looks like you. And you might be lucky if you see somebody else that look like you in 5 days. So, but, I had already known what I was coming into. So that was a little bit of a challenge. It was a new thing, just, being, excited about meeting new people and different culture. But then when you add the aspect, the language barrier, which is, very, very tough because you can't communicate even though you want to speak to somebody, then it gives you different mental states where, oh my goodness, you're frustrated, you don't know how to approach the person, you don't know how to communicate, and maybe that person doesn't like you because you sound this way. So going into high school, it was very difficult because, you have sports, people play sports, and, they're always talking to each other, even using a locker and doing the combination. If you can't use it right, you can't even ask somebody for help because you don't know how to do it. And what I used to do is at a certain point, I would, isolate myself, thinking that if I isolate myself and just study harder, then when I get the language down pat, then I'll go ahead and start making friends. But early on, I realized that while everybody would be having good conversation and good time together, I would just be sitting by myself. And I felt like, isolating myself wasn't the right thing to do. So I went, the next time I went inside the cafeteria, I just sat with everybody. It was only loudness around me because I had no idea what was going on. But, over time, I would catch certain words and certain phrases. And, it allowed me to also see that, some of the girls that I thought, wouldn't talk to me just because, it's not that, it's just they don't know how to communicate with me as well. So, just like smiling and sitting there and picking up certain words, took me out of my isolation and put me dead in the center. And, next thing you know, I was playing field hockey, softball and basketball and traveling with them. And, now I had a group of friends. But if I had isolated myself and think that, until I speak, I'm not gonna go to them, then it would have been very different. And we probably would have never talked. Even though my English was still not great, but we were able to communicate with. For like one of the class, we had a group, and I'm not sure if it's because I didn't talk to them more or they didn't talk to me, but since, when I would speak, when the professor would be like, introduce yourself, I thought that people would know that, I'm not from here. But with the group, they would have meetings and they would exclude me, and maybe they thought that, oh, okay, well, she can't be in the presentation anyway. We're not gonna let her talk anyway, so why have her come to the meeting? It doesn't matter. Maybe that was what's going on, but my perceptions of how they saw me, whether or not it was my language barrier, it bothered me to the point where, I would strive to, speak better, where you wouldn't have to hear no accent. And then where I would try to, study more because maybe they think I'm stupid because, I don't understand what's going on, or, because of the race as well. And, with all of this, I would be crying every Friday night, trying to get the homework done, and also, wondering what is wrong with me. And I would be talking to my dad, and my dad said to me one time, don't worry about whether people think you're stupid or whether they think that, you're stupid because of your accent, of your color. Just learn what they know. Once you know what they know, it doesn't matter what they think, you're at the same level with them. And with that thought, I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that. So then, I had to not see myself and perceive myself as somebody that is not liked, and just think that, oh, I just need to learn what they know. Not worry about whether they like me or not. And that worked very well, where we talked more, because when I would ask them to explain, they'd be like, oh, well, what do you mean by that? Well, no matter if they're condescending or not, they would still explain. And so then I would know more. And then, it would just generate conversations and do put me in a better place. You start forming relationships with people that you perceived didn't like you at any levels at all. But, you know, it's just that I feel like the way I perceived it, since I changed it, it made me more receptive towards the other person, or vice versa as well. And I think that brought out, to me, that really brought out the message that the paper is saying, that social belonging will affect your academic life. And just knowing that other people have had the challenges, or that you can get through it, gives you that sense that, oh, I can do this. It's gonna be tough. I just have to go through the rough patch and just do it. And then so when I read the paper, I've teed a couple of times, and I've always thought about using this approach whenever I become a professor. But when I read the paper, it really cemented that in my mind, that there's something that I should do, because I believe that the first impression always counts. So also in a classroom, I remember in my first year of college, there's one computer science professor said to me that, look to your left, look to your right, look to your left, look to your right. You know, the person beside you is not going to make it to the next round. And that class was the most challenging, I think, now thinking about it, not because really we couldn't push through and, you know, and just like have the drive, but then that mental state that he set up in the beginning, it was already tells you, oh, it's okay, you know, one of you is not going to make it. And it set up also a competitiveness that probably allowed, you know, like 50% of the class to fail. So getting all that into, you know, into my thoughts and thinking about the paper, I think that the first 10 minutes of the class, I would have a brief introduction of myself so that they could see who I am as a professor and also as a person, since as a professor, you're already intimidating enough. And just let them know that I am there for them to help them academically, which means that, you know, they will have various challenges coming into this new culture, meeting different people, you know, not have your parents being there all the time for support. These challenges, whether they're like social, also will seep into the academic life if they don't, you know, seek the help that they need and talk to people about what they're facing or where they need the help. So I would tell them that I'm here for you for this class. And, you know, whatever problems you have to come to me earlier enough so that I could help you, and not at the last minute where we would have to piece things together. And do it in a way where it would also be fair to your classmates, so that, you know, if I give a deadline, then I'm not making favoritism and giving you an exception where somebody else could have also had the same exception, but then they're like, oh, okay, well, I already missed the deadline, I'm just gonna leave it alone. So in terms of like me being a stickler for rules, but also being a fair professor and somebody that they could talk to, that would always help them succeed, especially in their first semester.